Hey everybody, welcome back to the Airsoftology Q&A show, the show that answers your questions, helps you out in a pinch, and really was impressed with all of the comments you had from last week. Regarding, if you guys didn't watch, I'll put a link up here in the corner where you can see the video we talked about last week and the state of Airsoft and some predictions or I guess conjecture on what is going to happen after COVID-19 kind of takes its course. And by and large, surprisingly, the comments were very good. And I was very heartened by it. I think it was so fantastic to see a lot of your shops and fields finding ways to stay open, fields reopening actually just this week with limited capacity. Although sad to see that there were a few comments in there about fields that didn't survive. And that's what my concern was, that some of them wouldn't make it. So if you didn't get to check out last week, definitely go check it out. It was really interesting conversation and you get to see everyone's reply. I think it was a good dialogue. And that's what I love about the comment section. Also, this is your show. Remember, your questions from the show come from last week's comment section. So if you guys are interested in commenting and getting a question answered here, please put it in the comment section below. I would love to try to help you out in your Airsoft journey. Also, if you like what you see here, throw me a little thumbs up and also mash that sub button. I would love to have you as part of the Airsoftology family. And one more way to support is the Airsoftology web store. We got a bunch of morale patches out there, including a new kind of John Wickish, pit bullish dog. You can guys check that out. Link is over here in the corner for the web store. So enough about all that. Let's dive into what you're really here for. And that's your questions from last week's comment section and this week's Megastore mail call. Snowball the Tactic Husky writes, the wire coming off the back of my harness fuse has a broken metal connector between the wires. Is it safe to use electronic wire glue to reconnect it without soldering? And a secondary question, what are your thoughts on M4s sporting an FN EGLM? Okay, so let me knock the first one out, or the second one out actually first, the EGLM. If you guys and gals haven't seen this, it is an enhanced grenade launcher, and actually very large one. It's designed initially for the SCAR family of rifles. So it has like kind of this futuristic look and it kind of looks space age. And I think it does work very well on an M4. It's designed to fit on a rail. And what's interesting about it is the magazine goes through it. So it brings the trigger, the actuator to fire your 40 millimeter in the real world, 40 millimeter grenade and airsoft, well, 40 millimeter launcher or whatever you have, whether it be like a 40 mic or, you know, you're launching a Nerf rocket or whatever. It's a cool thing. Now, that said, it's super heavy. Like, in my case, it's heavy, bulky, it's unwieldy, and it's like twice as heavy as a regular launcher. At least for me, it feels that way. And it adds so much weight, it makes the rifle unwieldy. For me, personally, unless I'm running like a dedicated like milsim op where I have a huge advantage to run like a grenade launcher, then I'm not going to run a grenade launcher anyway, like period. It's just, there's not a huge advantage for me to have a built-in one where I got to schlep it around on my rifle everywhere I go. I'd rather have a standalone one I just put on my back so it takes that carried weight out of my hands. Something like an old M79 would be super awesome, like the old China Lake. It's like a big shotgun is kind of what it looks like. Or even one of the new, like the 320s, the HK320 grenade launchers. Those are pretty cool. Put one of those on your back or have it in the back so you don't have to use it. Now, I do know they make a standalone adapter for the EGLM to turn it into its own thing. Still pretty darn heavy. So anyway, that's my thought on that. Part 2 here, we're going to be looking at the other part of the question. And my advice is when you're dealing with the electrical system, any kind of breaks or shorts, anytime you add a solder, anytime you add anything like that into your electrical system, you're going to be adding the potential for resistance or anything like that. So using like an electrical tape type setup is probably not something I would do. Now, if you are comfortable with it, I'm not telling you to do this. You can actually delete your fuse. You actually can get rid of the fact of having a fuse in your gun, bypass it, and connect those two wires. You will be adding another solder point there if you want to kind of do it that way, and then wrap it. Use shrink wrap, have a shrink wrap tube on there, solder them together, look at tutorials, then move the shrink wrap back and heat it so it's sealed. You're not going to ground out or have any electrical problems because of that. But the challenge here is you remove your fuse, and if you have a problem, you're going to be introducing a bigger potential for a problem in your gun. I personally do that to my guns. I'm not saying you should. I just kind of know when to stop pulling my trigger. I've been playing Airsoft for so long. I know when I have a problem. If you continue to pull your trigger on your gun, if you do have a problem, or if there's a runaway gun, like you're using a MOSFET and it just kind of takes off or whatever, then you could really have a big issue. But anytime you could remove a point of resistance, in that electrical system, it's better. The best solution here would be like to have it basically rewired or add a new fuse tube in there. But I've been deleting my fuses for quite a while. I've had a couple issues. Like I said, don't go, Jonathan, you owe me a new gun because you told me to delete my fuse. I'm just seeing a rate of fire increase because you're removing some resistance in there. And then you're also going to take away a potential point of failure. If you do, maybe you're running a little bit heavier battery or you upgrade your motor or things like that, you could be wearing those fuses out. If the stock fuse is like a lower rated fuse, so it might burn out a little quicker, not be used to like a higher rated battery and a motor, which isn't super common. But yeah, just some thoughts there. You can get rid of it. The last thing I would do is your recommendation. I would probably look at either replacing the system or replacing the fuse area, doing some resolder work, just connecting the wires together. Doing something else would be a lot better than using some kind of little tape or glue to put it together. But in a pinch on the battlefield, you absolutely can do that just to kind of keep you going. Just be careful of overheating in that area and causing maybe a fire potential issues. If the wires are just kind of barely apart, you'll have some arcing and you could have some problems there. Octopus Man writes, hey there, I was wondering what kind of submachine gun or PDW would be best for running around like a madman. I like having less weight and the mobility for quick engagements. I love the look of the new 9mm trend, but should I go with the standard M4 platform for my first PDW? So it's really up to you on the platform. I will tell you what I would do. I'm a big fan of the 9mm, or in some cases, we're gonna talk about the MP7 as well, the smaller caliber rounds, because you end up with a smaller magazine. Now, the downside is, yes, if you already have an M4, if you already have invested in magazines, now you have to reinvest in new magazines. But the bonus of these magazines are they're smaller typically. They're easier to carry, and that's to me a huge advantage of having something like the G&G ARP9 or the VFC, the MP7 AEG, the one they make, or some of even the new gas blowback, these conversion kits you're seeing, things like that, or the Scorpion Evo. It's one of my favorite SMG guns. I think probably one of the absolute best performing PDW SMG type platform has to be the Evo. It's a premium price. You're definitely going to pay for it, but still by and far one of the best performing. The range, the quality, the performance of the internal guts, everything's great. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the benefit of doing that and not jumping into that. I mean, unless you just don't want to make that extra investment into the magazines, then yeah, for sure. Would just go ahead and jump on like a very short barreled M4. There's a lot of great options out there that are in that PDW format, kind of like the Knights Armament style. I think pretty much almost every company's making some M4 PDW variant at this point. But yeah, so for that, I would say it's definitely an advantage. Your disadvantages are long range engagements. You will probably have a little bit of a disadvantage because of the short barrel. You're typically going to be a little bit lower on the power end, especially if you get the really short barrels. You're talking about like 6 inches, 7 inches and shorter. But even then, like I see guns, again, I keep going back to the Scorpion Evo, something I've owned for so many years. I've had this since it first released, actually. It's just a great platform. In fact, now, in the past couple of years, they've come out with high cap magazines for it. So the biggest concern I had was just, it was always mid caps, which is fine for MILSIM events. But to be able to have high caps now, if you want to run, like maybe your field allows it, or you play indoors a lot, you don't have to carry a bunch of magazines on you. That's a great option too. It gives you all those advantages. Guns like the MP7 AEG are also really good options for the size and the platform in the field. The magazines are incredibly light. I think that's another big benefit, not just the space. Now, the downside is you're going to have to find some new mag pouches, but that's not a huge deal. Typically, in some of these cases, you can even use pistol magazine pouches, like even the tall ones, or just look for SMG magazine pouch, and you should be able to find something. A lot of the chest rigs that have the inserts or play carriers that have the kangaroo insert is what it's called, where Velcro's open, you can stick an insert in there and then Velcro it and it locks it in, will have an SMG insert. And instead of putting like 3 M4 mags across, you can have like 4 of them across there and jam them in. Or sometimes you can jam 2 of these into an M4 magazine pouch and do that, but just look for the ones with flaps in this case. It's just kind of my thing, because once you take the first one out, the second one's going to kind of be all over the place and could spill out. So yeah, those are my things about the SMG. I think they're fantastic. I love it. I love the lightweight. I love how maneuverable they are. And you really, when you're playing indoors or even like short to mid-range engagement, you don't have a disadvantage. you actually end up with just positives in my case, where you still can range your target, you still can reach out, you can still do those things. When you get to the longer engagements, that's where you're going to find yourself potentially at a disadvantage. But I think for me, at least the way I play, the advantage is, and especially if you play indoor or like more of a CQB style or mid-range engagements at your field, definitely a lot of pluses and positives to do this. It's Muskie writes, hey Jonathan, is it okay to put lube in the gas port? Reason why I use propane. Actually, that's necessary when you use propane. There are some propane adapters. So when you get the propane, you get the propane tank, right? And you get this adapter that screws on. There are some adapters that actually have a little bitty thing you can unscrew on the side and add some lubrication to it. So it introduces lubrication into your magazines when you fill your airsoft gun. So in your case, you're asking, can I just put some drops on like my magazine? And that's an absolute yes, you totally can. And you should actually every now and then. I usually do it every couple fills when I use propane. I try not to use propane just because of the smell of it, because they add that scent to propane so you can smell it, so you kind of know if you have a leak or if there's a problem, it's in the air. So in this case, yes, you want to put like a drop or two right where you fill your gas magazine, just like on that little brass. Usually they're brass, sometimes they're silver, but like get some silicone oil designed for airsoft, preferably. Put a drop or two on there and then just fill your mag. The pressure of the propane is going to push that liquid inside of there. It's going to hopefully kind of vaporize it a little bit. And as your gun fires, it will be introducing it into the workings of your gun, keeping it lubricated properly and all that. Now, if you overdo it and you had too many drops, then you're going to start having gunking issues and over lubrication issues inside of your gas blowback rifle or pistol. And then you're going to probably end up dealing with like gunk coming out of the sides, or most likely your hop-up's going to stop working because you're introducing too much lubrication and it can't get a good grip on your BB and put that backspin on there. So it's like too lubricated and your BB is going to kind of come out and drop off. You're not going to get that good hop up. You're going to get that flat trajectory. So make sure you're just adding a drop or two at that point, and it's every handful of mag fills. We're not talking like every single mag fill. At least for me, I don't normally do that. A drop to me or two drops will usually last me like 3 or 4 or 5 mag fills, and then I'll do it again. So typically like a day of play, maybe if I've done a whole lot of shooting or I'm using a GBBR as my primary, I might reintroduce it to my magazines at lunchtime when we take a break, but that's typical when I do it. But yeah, it's absolutely something you could do and should be doing to keep your gun running properly. So that's it for questions this week, which means as always, it is time for the Code Red Headsets video recommendation of the week. And this one comes from Zafir Daniels and Callsign Caveman. And this is Kraken Airsoft, a channel that, again, I keep saying this every week. You guys and gals blow my mind with some great recommendations, one I didn't know of. And let me tell you what, again, absolutely an amazing channel. The team, the guy behind this is just good. The editing for gameplay is top notch. It's very the modern styling. So a little more aggressive music, really good edits. I love the fact that he's using a 360 camera. It allows for some really creative and interesting edits in this case when you're doing the gameplay. I think it's so amazing how he's using that. And it's something I've been actually looking into myself, using a 360 camera, because it gives you the ability to change the perspective in post-production after the fact. And he's doing this. I love how he zooms in on some targets when he's like doing engagements. He actually brings your attention to it. How he registers the hits is not kind of the same way that everybody does it. I mean, it's kind of close, but still his own unique flair. And what's great about this channel is he mixes in reviews as well. He's articulate. He covers the big topics, and I'll be honest, like his production value is better than mine when it comes to reviews. Actually, the camera work and things like that, I'm really impressed with this channel. I mean, like absolutely top notch and a winner. So like I say, hats off to you guys and gals for giving me a fantastic recommendation to share with the rest of all of you out there. So if you guys haven't checked it out, check out Kraken Airsoft. Definitely an awesome channel. If you like what you see on his channel, of course, I have a link that would have popped up here in the corner to take you over there. If you like what you see over there, mash the like button on the video that you click the link to and hit the sub button on his channel. By the way, and drop a comment under one of his videos. Let him know that I sent you guys over there, and hopefully we continue to grow this airsoft community on YouTube with more and more channels that all of us can discover through the help of you guys and gals sharing them here, and then me being able to reshare them with everybody else here, part of the channel. If you have a channel of your own or a channel you love, please put it in the comment section below. I would love to hear about it and love to share it with the rest of the airsoft community out there. Also, if you have a question you want answered, put it down in the comment box below as well. I'll try to get it answered on the next show or a future show for you. Also, if you want to support the channel, don't forget thumbs up, hit the sub button. Also, check out the web store. Got some really cool morale patches on there, all custom, all original artwork, and free shipping worldwide on that. Anyway, until next week, go out, play some airsoft, have some fun, but no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.